My aunt scolded me for kicking out my freeloading brother out of my house and said family shouldn't abandon each other in times of need. So I followed her advice and now she's pissed. My older brother Owen is a bum. He can never hang on to a job for longer than a couple years max, and when he inevitably loses whatever job he had, he starts mooching off family and friends until he can find another job months later. This entails him freeloading at their place, eating their food, using their stuff, etc. He's lost friends because of how long he bummed off of them, and I don't blame them for cutting him off. Well, this last time he lost his job, he went to our parents, but they didn't have room because they were letting our eldest brother's, Edward, family stay with them after he and sister-in-law lost their jobs out of nowhere within the same month. Edward's entire crew was laid off with zero warning and sister-in-law's work burned down, and they couldn't afford the home they were renting anymore. So Owen was pretty much out of luck. So our parents, aunt, and uncle all started calling me asking if I'd take him in just long enough so he could get on his feet again. I, stupidly, let myself feel bad for him and said okay, but he only had a few months to get another job or he was out on the street. They all said of course, and so he came to stay with me. And it was a nightmare. He's a slob. He never washes dishes, never washes his clothes, and eats pretty much whatever he wants. I guess since I'm his little sister he figured he could ignore me saying to get his crap together. Well, after 6 months I told him he had to go, and gave him a couple weeks to find somewhere else. Well, it seems he called our parents and cried about me kicking him out, and they told him he knew he couldn't stay forever, but they also called my aunt/uncle and told them all about it. And my busybody aunt called me and scolded me for being cruel to my brother and abandoning family when they need help. I let her talk and finally said she was right. Helping family was important, and I'm glad she showed me that. She seemed glad I understood the right thing to do before hanging up. So I followed her advice and packed my brother up and drove him to her house. I couldn't take care of him anymore. He was running all my bills up, but my aunt made a good point. Family should help each other. So I dropped him off there. She has room since all her kids moved out, and then left. But I wasn't even halfway home before I was getting multiple calls from my parents and aunt. My parents were demanding to know why our aunt was blowing up their phones, and my aunt was leaving voicemails shouting at me to come back and get my brother. I explained to my parents and they said it was a good idea since my aunt sounded like she wanted to help, but my aunt called me an a-hole and said she didn't want my brother there. And when I told her family helps each other, she called me a "see you next Tuesday." Last I checked, he's still living with her.